right now. What's up, boys? My name is Comment is Anonymous, and today I have a review of the new A$AP Rocky album, Don't Be Dumb. This album released about a week ago. By the time you're seeing this, like literally today, as of recording this, so it might be, here's the way upload schedules are, it might be a little bit off. But this album comes after a distinct period of inactivity in A$AP Rocky's discography, with the release of Testing marking the beginning of this. Okay, Testing was generally not the sort of album that you would take like years and years off after releasing, because usually artists have these big farewell albums, crazy production, just going crazy, like this is the end. A$AP Rocky's Testing was not that. In fact, it was probably his most experimental album yet, and most of the experimental things that he was doing on that project were pretty half-baked and definitely needed an extra album for him to kind of go by and kind of hone his skills, because prior to that he had mostly leaned into the cloud rap sound popularized by acts like Clams Casino, who actually produced one of the tracks on Don't Be Dumb, the title track, as a matter of fact. And yeah, so that's basically all I need to know. And then, for a period of 8 years, he was A$AP Rocky was doing pretty much everything except make music. Yeah, eventually, after like a period of time, he started saying, "Hey, I have an album ready to go, but you're not gonna hear it, stupid." I mean, he didn't say that directly. However, he implied that, because Don't Be Dumb had been finished for years and years and years, or at least nearing completion, for years. A$AP Rocky just chose not to release it, by the seams of things, which, sure, preserving the quality of the product that you release is, a pretty respectable trait to have. However, the act of constantly teasing an album that you're not going to release for years and years and years and years gets a lot of your fans pretty upset. And yeah, A$AP Rocky's fans were certainly no exception to this rule. Like Playboi Carti's fans, when he had taken a 4-year break from music to essentially release an album full of leftovers. His fan base obviously ate those leftovers up, but prior to the release of it, they were pretty upset that he hadn't released anything, even on streaming, in a period of multiple years. Of course, Carti had Instagram drops, but it's pretty difficult to stream a song and put it on your playlist when it's on when it's on Instagram. So yeah, a lot of people weren't very fond of that. Same thing with Frank Ocean, even though he isn't like constantly promoting a new album. He typically posts like 1 or 2 pictures of him in his studio, or just randomly on his Instagram, like once or twice a year, and sometimes has a resale of a vinyl to go along with it, which makes a lot of his fans believe that he is returning to making music, which is almost never the case. I digress. Let's get into what we're all here for, Don't Be Dumb, which was actually released, and it has not become an album that is still being avidly waited for over 10 years down the road. Order of Protection is a very nice opener with synth stabs that really kind of set the vibe of the cloud rap kind of thing. Also a few lasers like pew, 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 pew. Really kind of give it this sort of attitude and grit, as well as the lyrics of It's Been a While, which, I mean, come on. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can infer what those mean. Also, The Game That I Can't Divorce, Final Boss, All, Chat's Logged Off, All Call, Still Screaming, Encore, When I'm Long Gone. Very nice bar. And there's also an orchestral type outro with a ton of vocal harmonies, which is always great to see, especially in a trap album like Don't Be Dumb. Yeah. Then the following track, which is probably my least favorite on the album, Helicopter. It has a rage rap beat, which, if you know me and my taste in music, you know how much I hate rage rap beats. And yeah, it has very repetitive lyrics. Not really feeling this track. It's probably my least favorite again. But yeah, the set's pretty cool. Yeah, it's way too long for its own good. I just feel like it did not need to be 3 minutes long. It probably could have been better if it was 1 minute. It's not the type of song that me personally I would let ride for 3 minutes, especially for how oversaturated the rage genre has become within not just the mainstream but also the underground scene of hip-hop. It's just very overplayed. Yeah, the following track, Stole Ya Flow, has Memphis vocals, which always great to hear, or at least Memphis sounding vocals. I'm not sure if they are, but yeah, the beat kind of after the Memphis vocals kind of fade away over time. The beat itself sounds like something that like Too Slimy would produce, who is a very controversial producer and songwriter in the hip-hop scene. And yeah, the lyrics also have a Drake and Travis Scott diss, which are like, whatever. It's kind of cliche at this point, having a Drake diss on your album. Yeah, it's sort of just, again, too long for its own good. It really overstays its freaking welcome, which I can say about a lot of songs on this album, because they just get stale. You know? Like, at least make it interesting. Because, yeah, a lot of, like, trap songs don't really have the lyrics or, you know, the sort of welcome that boom bap songs have, which they can kind of let ride for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, while still being unique and interesting because of the sheer amount of variation that these rappers can do, as well as putting a lot of thought into their lyrics. Again, I'm not expecting every rapper to be like Nas or MF Doom or J. Cole. Okay, like I'm not expecting that, but yeah, I'm just kind of explaining why I think it overstays its welcome, okay? And yeah, the outro is sort of like this weird little, like, interview type thing with sort of, like, just him complaining at his fans. You know, essentially, like, me or like critics essentially. And yeah, there's sort of just a Disney movie-esque vocal outro, which leads us to the next song, Stay Here for a Life. Has Memphis vocals at the beginning, again. It has like a pitch down vocals for the intro. Sort of reminds me of I'm In It by Kanye West. Pretty good song, which I believe a lot of the tracks on Don't Be Dumb have a lot of inspiration from Yeezus or other projects inspired by Yeezus. Yeah, it's like a sort of Kendrick Lamar type flow, which again, a lot more of the projects is inspired by Kendrick Lamar. And it's Pimp Butterfly specifically. Later on in this album, there's a song Robbery, which sounds a lot like I got for free off the Pimp Butterfly, but that's neither here nor there. We're not at that track yet. Yeah, it's a pretty strong deviation from the previous tracks, which use like super hard hitting and like a million things going on at once, all in your face at the same time, you know. And compared to that, this track is pretty low-key. I don't want to say low-key, but compared to the previous ones, it's more chill. And yeah, there's a part 2, which is very cloud rap-esque, which, again, A$AP Rocky sort of originated from doing that genre. So, of course, he's going to have a ton of songs that are cloud rap-esque. Yeah, outro is sort of with punchy kicks and sort of slowed down snares. So, you know, he also swears at his audience again for criticizing his love life, which, okay. And he also says, I ain't no playa, which contrasts with the following track, Playa. Playa has production from Cardo Got Wings, which is a very prominent producer in the modern trap scene. He produces for acts like Playboi Carti, Kendrick Lamar. I know he doesn't make trap music, but he produced Euphoria, which is a pretty important song in Kendrick's catalog. As well as Larry June, who again doesn't make trap music, but you know, whatever, man. Also Future and like some other people too, whatever. Drake. Of course, it has all of his tropiest, shall we say. It's got like, you know, the booming 808s. It's got those like weird like synth arps. I don't know. You just know a Cardo B when you hear it, okay? It just sounds like a Cardo B, alright? What do you expect? Quality. He also switches flow styles very quickly, which again is something pretty similar to what Kendrick Lamar can do. However, A$AP Rocky tends to switch his flow style for each section of the song, which makes them all sound very musically distinct from each other. The only complaint I have about this song is that the outro is like a wee bit repetitive and it's kind of weird. I don't know what's up with the outro. So yeah, but aside from that, Playa's pretty alright song, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, the following song, No Trespassing, has airy kick drums, you know, like very, very strong high end, like that just sounds like a fart. Whatever. It has very, very good drums, okay? It also has a sparse melody. Again, another kind of trope from Kendrick Lamar, who has very sparse melodies a lot of the time and is like more trap bleeding beats, especially with his work with Baby Keem, which usually has way super hard hitting kicks and very complex patterns with them, contrasting with basically zero melody. You can hear on Euphoria that he just lets the drums kind of just ride out the beat without any melody other than Kendrick's vocals and the 808s, I guess. The verses are very like entertaining. If you're a fan of lyrics and hip-hop, I think you'll enjoy this one because they're very funny, very entertaining. Also some catchy hooks if you don't care about lyrics. Yeah, it's just overall a great song, so check it out. The following track, Stop Snitching, has a triplet flow with like this MF Doom-esque song structure. Like, let me explain. It's sort of like, you know how MF Doom typically has one verse for basically the entire song, and it's just all rapping. A$AP Rocky does a similar thing on this song, where he has one verse, like a chorus and refrain, obviously, but yeah, A$AP Rocky just has one verse to himself, and then in one more verse to his feature, Sauce Walka. Lemonade Cadillac, Big Lade, I bought the V on Wednesday. Too many horses in here. The following track, STFU, sort of marks the beginning of a lot more of an experimental half of the album. It gets a lot more experimental and also a bit more melodic toward the kind of tail end of this this record. And yeah, it starts with STFU, which is the exact opposite of what I would describe as melodic. Has a very interesting intro sample, with quarter note kicks, reverby vocals, and a sample, which he kind of just lets a sample ride. Yeah, super reverby vocals, and it sounds almost like a punk rock song because of how up front everything is and how kind of hard hitting everything is. Also like things like synths and guitars. I don't know, but yeah, just a ton of things just make it feel very like punk rock esque, like very grunge sounding. I best compare this to like JPEG Mafia. His kind of production, which is super varied, but when you think of a JPEG Mafia beat, you're probably gonna like imagine something adjacent to STFU. And yeah, it's a pretty solid track. Pretty fun listen. Punk rocky. It's very like Nirvana-esque, which like I wouldn't personally describe as punk rock. Punk rocky has super reverby vocals that really sit in the back, and there's also backing vocals that are absolutely drowned in reverb. And yeah, here's my hot take here. I feel like this song kind of overstays its welcome. It's not like a very solid track. It's not very polished. It sort of gives a vibe of something that you'd like make when you're like a couple months into producing and you like want to make a song or whatever. It's like it's I know A$AP Rocky could do a much better punk song because he literally did on the previous track. So I don't know about that, and it's not even really a punk song, is it? Unless you like classify Nirvana as punk, and I don't really classify Nirvana as punk. I more so classify it as grunge. But yeah, I don't really like this particular track. The following the track though, Air Force, has a very strange instrumental. Again, this sort of 3-track run here, or 2-track run rather. Punk Rocky and the Air Force. This duo of tracks is just probably the most difficult hurdle to get over in terms of this whole album's listening experience. I don't really see myself coming back to Air Force or Punk Rocky as much as I would STFU or Order of Protection, because they really just have so much, they lack so much replay value. Air Force has a very strange instrumental, has very fast hi-hats. I meant to say hi-hats, but for some reason my notes, I wrote 808s. I don't know why. But yeah, it has very fast hi-hats, probably playing on 32nd notes as opposed to the usual 16th note. It also has like a super light snare that just sort of sits in the back, so it's like, and then you just hear the snare. It's like, right? Yeah, it'll probably get better with time and be like more appreciated and expected because it feels like something that would probably be appreciated far later in time. It just sort of gives the vibe of like, yeah, a song that when it first comes out, people didn't really like it, but a couple years later, people probably would. And yeah, Air Force also has a beat switch that sort of reminds me of Feel Good Inc. off of Gorillaz album Demon Days, which is quite the coinky-dink because the following track, Whiskey, features West Side Gun and Gorillaz. I mean, Gorillaz, it's not really Gorillaz, it's Damon Albarn, but lead singer of Blur, Damon Albarn. It's a very ethereal track with like a pulsing synth. I don't know if I'd use the word pulsing, but like a pad that's like you know, like that. And yeah, it sort of has 2D doing backing of vocals. Time now, right about now, sing song. Time off with me, oh, right now. Terrible. No, it's actually really good. Actually, it's great. So, I'm just saying my singing is terrible. It's sort of the same thing with West Side Gun on the outro, except it kind of just kills the vibe of that the song was building, being super ethereal and kind of grandiose. And then you have West Side Gun's vocals being like, "Hey yo." Boom, 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 boom. One thing I particularly find funny is West Side Gun pans that he does. Okay, so it's like it's terrible. I don't like it. Then the song just ends with like West Side Gun being like boom, 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 boom. Like, okay, you're just gonna end like a really sentimental track with like that. All right, that's cool. The following track, Robbery, has a Dochi feature in conjunction with a jazz influenced beat, heavily inspired by To Pimp a Butterfly and For Free. Yeah, I love just the piano top line. I don't know what kind of comparison this is, but it kind of sounds like Build Our Machine by DA Games.
They send you a letter to come back home to play, but to your dismay, this isn't your day, for the happy fun time has been.
What is this, bro? What am I doing, bro? Why did I decide to like stand up for like some random gags that wasn't even funny, and I'm probably not even gonna include in the video, and everyone's gonna unsubscribe because of how cringe I am. Where was I? Oh yeah, there's like a ton of whispery vocals, which I find kind of charming, honestly. You know, superstar Jasmine, no guitar, rock star in charge, and the general. My gun is pop off popcorns, y'all coons, y'all do it like all New York, get it glazing out these hot dog, you know. It's a good song. And then the Dochi feature compliments A$AP Rocky perfectly. Really shows off her talent, which oftentimes she is dismissed as being not more than an industry plant, which is clearly false, as she has a lot of, rapping skills and abilities. You know, people claim she's an industry plant because she got, like, promoted by a record label. Like, isn't that a record label's job? Anyways, yeah, it's just a brilliant song, and then it just becomes a skit, like, what? It's a great moment on this record, like, even if you don't want to listen to any other songs, I recommend listening to Robbery. It's a great song. Anyways, you have the title track, / Trip Baby. Okay, produced by Clams Casino, who is a pioneer of the cloud rap subgenre of hip hop. You know, classic cloud rap beat with the vocal stutter. Dum 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 dum. You know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, there's also like soulful lyrics, which is pretty interesting for A$AP Rocky, who, you know, usually doesn't really have that much to offer in terms of lyrics. But, you know, in this case he does, which, you know, is always something. And it just cuts to the definition of dumb, which I think is very silly. Trip Baby, the second part, has a very interesting beat to it, you know, with laser sound effects, which are very loud compared to a ton of previous tracks, which also had laser sound effects, which are usually pretty quiet. These ones are a lot more upfront, and also a ton of more, like, goofy, silly, Timbaland sounding, like, bossa nova goofy beats, you know? You ever heard, like, a Timbaland beat and heard, like, a ton of different, like, sound effects in the background? It's like... you know, it's like that. But yeah, it's still a great song, even despite that. Anyways, yeah, the end is the following track, which, contrary to the name of it, is not the end of the album. Has a choir of children singing the chorus. This is the way the world ends. This is the way the world ends. Yeah, it's a conscious rap song, which, you know, to A$AP Rocky, you know, is usually, again, not very focused on the lyrics. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if public schools serving real food to the students. Shit tastes like institution. I thought that was a pretty funny bar. Anyways, the following track, SWAT Team, has A$AP Rocky really out of his element here, with a 21 Savage or Offset or Future type flow, which is very unlike his usual rapping style, despite being in the same general subcategory of hip-hop. You know, you have like a Metro Boomin sounding beat with like him literally sounding identical to Future and 21 Savage, which is pretty jarring, and you can kind of tell that he didn't really know what delivery he wanted to stick with, what style he wanted to stick with. It was just a mishmash of ideas and over-ambition, and it's not good. I'm not saying it's terrible, but like, I know he could have done it better if he like honed in his ideas more and also just added more of his own flair to it, because the track just doesn't have anything to it other than just being a clone of like a song I could get from like a litany of other artists that I will show here unless I forget to. The final track, Fish and Steak, has a Tyler the Creator feature, which, as you may know, A$AP Rocky and Tyler the Creator are pretty good friends. They, you know, there are various very funny videos of them just like goofing around and stuff, which is always very charming to watch. And yeah, it's a great you know, flute type beat, which usually is pretty overplayed, but I feel like, especially in the context of the Tyler the Creator feature, it works pretty well. Tyler absolutely glides over this instrumental. It's beautiful. Honestly, it's just you really just have to hear it to get what I'm saying. Okay? Yeah, he also reused a line from POV, how that sunroof opened up like therapy, which is a reference to his line on POV, La Ferrari doors open up like it's therapy. Come on! Like, it's good. It's great. Tyler's singing voice also fits this instrumental. I just feel like it's a Tyler the Creator song with A$AP Rocky on it rather than an A$AP Rocky song with Tyler the Creator on it. So yeah, but it's still a pretty solid track and a great way to end the album. Don't Be Dumb by A$AP Rocky. It's a pretty good album. It's a great intro for me personally to A$AP Rocky's discography, because I never heard any of his albums before. I think I heard One Train before, but that's pretty much my only exposure to his discography, and also his features on a few Tyler the Creator songs. But yeah, it's a pretty sweet intro to his discography. Would recommend, I guess. And yeah, it kind of just shows A$AP Rocky kind of just playing catch up to all of the different sounds that he kind of missed out on throughout his very lengthy hiatus. And yeah, it just doesn't feel like a lot of the songs where he is playing catch up are like very well developed or very good. Not exactly sure how 100% to word this what I'm going to say. Not necessarily I want him to spend more time on it. I feel like if it were split amongst multiple albums, or maybe if he had more room to experiment with the various sounds that he was wanting to experiment with, it would probably be a way better and way more impactful project, because he can only really do the sounds that he's been doing to death. He can only really do those, and he can only do those well. I mean, he did do STFU pretty well, but yeah, I'm not saying it's bad, but again, it's a little bit, it's very, very experimental, and hey, I enjoy very, very experimental things. The feature list is also pretty good. I mean, it's sparse, but it's impactful. Yeah, I would recommend this album if you're a big fan of A$AP Rocky and want to see what he's been up to over all these 8 years, and yeah. But besides that, I don't really think it has much replay value. Besides a few tracks you might like add to your playlist and have in your rotation from time to time. Yeah, when it shines, it really does shine. But yeah, he's just super late to the party, and he's kind of just playing catch up. And yeah, for that, I'm feeling a strong 6 on this thing.